probably why you even tune in. To those of you who are not regulars, take your time to read the description of the broadcast as well, because there are more stuffs to be discussed than just the title of the broadcast. They like the broadcast. It is believed that you liking the broadcast gives it an advantage of, appearing on other people's timeline whenever they're on YouTube, especially. So like the broadcast. Then share it. That means you specifically share the broadcast to different platforms that you are very much active, which means other people too can tune in. After all of that, well, you can either sit back, relax, and just listen. Or you can also continue to engage with others, of course, in the comment section, okay? So while I reel out what I have for us this evening, it is the continuation of, the protest by the Rattel gang. They are the supporters or the support base of Martins Osei, VeryDarkMan, popularly known as a VeryDarkMan. So a lot of you who have been following the story, you probably developed your own different theories on this. But there's a reason why you are watching it on Mayegun's Diary Political. It is because here is a platform, right, where you can actually recognize us as the repository of all that is wrong with data contraption, where it is regularly documented as it affects its victims turn by turn. We have some of you who believe that this is just a pure distraction. You may be right. And then you may be not. So you may not be right. So tonight, we are going to start from what the EFCC put up as their defense and why they kidnapped VeryDarkMan. I don't have to go to different theories that everyone has. Probably bit by bit, I may touch on them, and as relevant to the conversation as possible, right? I'll touch on them. So the EFCC came out and released this statement, which is very much similar to the same one Oyewale, their spokesman, released, or the interview he granted the BBC News or BBC News Pidgin. Yeah. So in their statement, they said the EFCC, in the exercise of its mandate of tackling economic and financial crimes, invited Martins Vincent Osei, owing to a series of petitions bordering on sundry issues of alleged financial crimes raised against him. Did you get that line? The EFCC, according to that paragraph, they are acting on numerous petitions of financial crimes against a VeryDarkMan. Absurd. Continue. Said they have invited me. Say he refused to show up in spite of several invitations sent to him through his known addresses and medium of communication. The petitions pertain to grave allegations of financial malfeasance, which cannot be ignored by the commission. Financial crimes, financial, to be investigated by the EFCC normally, right? According to their mandates, requires you to have obtained money. Hang on. First, you must have committed a financial crime at on an industrial scale that is considered as financial terrorism. So it is their job to come after you. Then if you have also under this Cybercrime Act or something, right? Or financial crime, I don't know what it's called, right? So under that one, those who are like the internet fraudsters who have obtained money by false pretenses, right? From the foreign victims, the EFCC also can come after you. But if anybody somehow says you obtained money from them, again, you obtained money from them by wrong or with wrong pretense. That means you lied to them and you took money from them. You scammed them, right? So I think the first point of call would be the police, or maybe if the money is that massive, then you go to the, I believe, the EFCC. So when they, in that statement, when they said financial crimes, so you can possibly picture what kind of that financial crime, and then from who and who, which means some people said they had financial deal with him in which he kind of like cheated them or so. I mean, I'm just building a case here because it doesn't make any sense. And Nigeria stuff doesn't really have to make any sense. So some people reported to them. That's the point. They reported, which means they wrote petitions. Then in that part where they say malfeasance, malfeasance means to plunder money, squander it. Do you understand? Like, okay, you are in charge of a particular trust, and then you blow the money. Like anyhow, that's my own understanding of that, okay? So again, this is just trying to build something out of what they put out, why they had to abduct him, okay? So they said they've invited him, he did not show up, okay? And they said it is needful to admit that the commission is aware of several unguided attacks of the suspects, you know, in the conduct, and the conduct is condemnable. That's what they actually put there. Hang on, let me see if I can remove the cover. So against his operation, why such conduct is condemnable. His arrest was not informed by such attacks. Hang on. So this is them saying, oh, we didn't. No. We didn't kidnap him because he said things which they called attacks because he attacked us. No, that's not why we picked him up. We picked him up because he has committed a crime, like a crime, due to the petition some people sent to them. This is the EFCC defense, okay? Now they went on to write, the EFCC was a lawful. So the EFCC has a lawful right to hold or say in custody like any other suspects being investigated by the commission. The appropriate remand order was obtained in this regard. From who? And who granted that? What was that they presented to that court that granted the detention order? I haven't seen anything like that, but of course it can be manufactured, right? Here you go. So he has been offered an administrative bail and will be released after fulfilling all the bail conditions. So this is the EFCC saying, well, we may not have told you everything going on. Yes, we use DSS to kidnap him. Yeah, because the DSS are also looking for him too. But we are looking for him. So we had to tell the DSS to give him to us. Now, that's not part of the statement, but that's part of the information out there, right? That those who kidnapped him in front of the bank, they were DSS, the ones demanding for the to unlock his phone, right? And then they took them away. So it is kind of said that the DSS too say they are looking for him. But because the EFCC have been looking for him, in their own statement, they've stated it, right? They didn't know it. So they had to ask the DSS to give him to them first. So within that time, which started from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I don't know if there was any court that kind of like operated. But according to these guys, they got a court order to detain him. And they've granted him administrative bail too in that statement. I haven't heard that from Deji. Deji is his lawyer. Deji Adeyanju Chamber, right? And the last time the supposed Deji's chamber representative was with these EFCC guys, right? VeryDarkMan was said to have refused to see anybody, rejected to accept or welcome any visitor. So which means, from my own understanding, right, he's got no real legal representation or whatsoever in all of this. But somehow, the agency says they have granted him bail. Did they just verbally communicated that to him? Because we haven't seen anything like that out there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is us just treating what the EFCC said. We are still going into the details of all, right, that happened today. So EFCC, they said their commission appreciates the interest of Nigerians in its operations, the passion, the enthusiasm, and the torrential reactions to all of its activities are welcome. Rubbish. However, insinuations about its motive in carrying out its assignment should no longer continue. Right. The EFCC should be allowed to do its job without fear of favor as soon as investigations are concluded. You hear that? As soon as investigations are concluded, charges will be filed. That is the conclusion of what the EFCC put out there. Meaning, again, they got petition. No, initially they said they arrested him for financial crimes. All right. Then they said due to some petitions submitted by some people, several petitions submitted by some people, bordering on financial malfeasance. So now that they didn't investigate whether it's real or not, right? They haven't done their investigation. They were supposed to have done their investigation, okay? To say, oh, hang on, we have the evidence of all this stuff and we need you to come and. So now that you didn't honor their invitation, right? Now, some of you will say, oh, they have the evidence, they invited him and he didn't show up, right? Now, they have him kidnapped in their custody. But guess what? They have not concluded the investigation that he has committed any crime that will bring about any charges. So that's how they operate, right? So right now they've given him an administrative bail that we have no idea of what it is or wasn't it, right? But for those of you who have somehow been convinced that this is possibly a distraction, you see, I have heard people who have said it is Nigerians are pretty much individualistic and it's more or less like everyone for himself. And if you have a base, then you are possibly the only thing that matters to them. Like if you can see all the groups all the groups you have in Nigeria currently, like, up in arms against the establishment, and why the establishment itself is also up and in armor against you, right? So when people say that, some people said, maybe you are one of them, it's been said on this platform as well, but I've been thinking about it, okay? So those of you who believe that, you see, these guys were supposed to be fighting, they are not out there mobilizing themselves to fight for good governance, like face the criminals in charge of Nigeria right now, like mobilize en masse and demand for a better, a better life and get it, not just come together and I get you. But here is something. Because it got me thinking, I won't lie. I've been like, oh, that sounds true as well. Like, oh, you see, every time people are angry and they are talking about what what is going on in Nigeria, suddenly they will just bring this very dark man, or they will just bring something to distract them. And guess what? A lot of people actually agrees that, oh, that's true. That is true. Every time. Now government, they work for government. Look at this. Every time people are trying to say, oh, they want to do something. Oh, Showore will just say, hey, oh, I'm choosing a date for a protest. I'm choosing a date for this. So there are many of you like genuinely who are convinced that these guys are being used by APC, Egbekebe, to distract Nigerians. A lot of people have also given other excuses like, oh, BB Nigeria is always distracting them. Don't mind them. They will never come out and shaking it. You know what I mean? Like, they will never come out. When you tell them to come out, they won't come out. Now, BB Nigeria, they go to discuss. Very useless, this and that. Okay. I'm saying all of this because there are many, many of you that strongly, and I don't know, and I'm not trying to convince you to change your mind, though. Don't get me wrong. No. There's something I want to say. Maybe you too, it can get you, I mean, it can also get you thinking, because it got me thinking, right? And I was like, hang on. You know, say Nigerians love to give excuses, right? For example, we have had people who have actually stood in front of gun wielding, uniform wearing terrorists called Nigerian police and Nigerian army. We have had instances, we have had series of, heroic moments where people have stood in front of the people that are going to kill them in Nigeria. And indeed they've been killed. We have seen that. But what broke most of those sacrifices is because the sustenance of such kind of like outing. So we've had people who have stood out and, but in it all, when we talk about being distracted, APC is distracting everybody. For example, electricity bill is coming up, right? It's going to go up again, okay? So now they are talking about this very dark man. Meanwhile, they are going to increase electricity tariff by 50%. Now, here are my posters, okay? And you too can probably go and think about it. Was there any time that in Nigeria, North and South, the Nigerians came out in their millions against any policy, as always, right? I mean, their policies against all the policies that have kind of like worked against you in the last 10 years, put it that way. That when you are about to come out like this, when you are out like this, demanding, now so they go bring BB Niger and everybody will just go back home. And see me, I want to go and work BB Niger. I'm not doing protest again. Have you ever had anything like that? Because it's so convenient, right? It is convenient to excuse the reason why Nigerians can't come out to face their criminals is because they are distracted. Easy. Yeah? But there's never any time. The only time in the last 10 years that the establishment shook was the NSAS, but it was not sustained. I'm not blaming anyone. Let's give it up for those who actually stood. For millions of others who had the chance of standing with them, but they were not there. They were either on the other side, encouraging the establishment to slaughter them, kill all of them. These idiots, useless people. But there was never a time that you have, when they removed subsidy and your world turned upside down under Tifnumbu, you didn't come out to demand that, no, this will not stand. No, there's nothing like that. Even for a few people that came out, you know the story. They've made different policies that should ordinarily have sent all these criminals on the run in Nigeria. Well, how did they manage to escape all of that? Because everyone will just look for the reasons why they won't be challenging them. It's either, I'm not going to challenge a Yoruba man. I can't challenge another Yoruba. So if I can't challenge a Yoruba man now, so is it the Igbo man that will now be there? Abi is it a Hausa man? Well, I'm not. Oh, they told me in my church that now this year, God won't answer all my prayers. So you won't make her go protest. Make her come shoot me, make her come die. Baba, no. But whenever they says, they use all this showore to distract Nigerians from fighting for their rights. And then you say, yes, so my brother, it's true. I agree. I'm like, what are you agreeing to? You've never agreed on anything to say you want to fight for your real right. Everybody is just calling on everybody. And instead of people to come out, see, instead of people to stand up, the person who is saying that instead of everybody to stand up is seated. In fact, he's lying down under his couch. Under his duvet, typing. Nigerians, I don't understand. Instead of all of us to come together, yeah? I'm saying this because, like I said, I am not trying to say you are wrong.